Hi y'all, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com. I hope you're doing well. Today we are here to play with these fabulous fabric markers that our friends at Arteza sent me. I actually have been enjoying these fabric markers for several weeks now. This definitely is a project that's going to take some practice unless you are, of course, lucky enough to be an artist. But nonetheless, even though I've been working at this for a few weeks, I've still really enjoyed the process, as have the girls. So what they did is they sent me 30 fabric markers. There's all kinds of absolutely gorgeous colors in here. Match the bag that I have, which is the Route 66 tote. So I'm designing a custom project label for that. And so I have a few fun options to show you here. So first, I did just give the pens to my daughters, both who enjoy drawing, and Megan definitely is artistic. And so they just had a lot of fun with this twill fabric and made all kinds of interesting graphics here that would be really neat to just sew on something for fun. And then I started playing with the same canvas and came up with a couple of different designs. One thing I did notice is, you can see here with this Isabel label, that you need to let the colors dry in between, or they will give that kind of rund look. And actually that could be an artistic detail depending what you were trying to accomplish. But when I let the colors dry, I didn't have that problem. This was one of my favorite ones that Megan made for me, and it says, "Live your storm." And there's an inside joke behind that. We were in the Hobby Lobby looking at the signs, and we both thought the sign said, "Live your storm." And we were like, "That's so awesome, I want that." And then when we got a little closer, it was actually "Live your story." And then we didn't like that as much. So I eventually will use this custom label that Megan made for me and sew that on a bag. And then what I did to keep it from fraying, I love the frayed edges that she created, but I wouldn't want the label to fray away once I stitch it on. So I just took some Mod Podge and just put that on top of it after it had already dried. And it's still pliable, and I definitely think that I will be able to stitch through that no problem. And so I played with all different kinds of textures. The leather was really nice. The markers write really smooth on the leather. And then I tried some suede, and that also was a nice look. I have a piece of the suede here, which I think is a really interesting possibility. So it started like this, and it was the gray suede with the black marker, and then when I Mod Podged over the top of that, it gave it a really glossy, like kind of patent leather look. So the downside to that is, because it's dark leather, you can't see the Route 66 on there. If I had metallic pens, that would be crazy cool, and I could get it to show up, because I can see it just enough that I could trace it back through there. But I wanted to show you this because if you get a lighter color suede and then Mod Podge on it, you could get a really nice look using the leather and the pens and the Mod Podge. And then so far, I think this is going to end up being the best look, and this is what I'm going to demo for you today. I did not let the colors dry in between, and that's why you have a little bit of running, because I was anxious to see how it would come together. But I'm going to show you how to do this, get this good look, and make it so that your edges don't fray. And again, if you practice a bit, your art is going to get better with this. If you have an artist in your family, get them to hook you up with some sketches, and you can create some really fun labels for your custom projects. So I will show you the easiest method that I found, which is working one more label there I found. I'm waiting for the Mod Podge to dry that one of the girls made for me, and I think that's really fun too, but it's still definitely wet and gluey. Okay, so I think it's easiest to work with a white cotton fabric, and this is just like a quilt weight cotton that I had left over, and you can kind of see through that. And then I printed out the graphic in black ink and reduced the size of that image to approximately the same size I would like my label. And so I like to use 2 layers of the cotton fabric, and I just sandwiched that printout right in between those 2 layers, and then just using a regular ink pen, I just trace that out just so I can get the lines good. Okay, and then once you have your traced design there, you can go ahead and remove your template and save that just in case you'd like to use it again. And then since I used a red ink pen, I'm going to go ahead and use the red fabric marker for this. And again, I'm keeping both of those layers. Now this cotton is going to absorb that ink, so you don't want to hold that marker in place because it's just going to bleed out. So you do need to move pretty quickly, which is why it's important to trace that design onto the fabric first, so you're not spending a lot of time trying to perfect those tracing lines. Plus, I do believe that this marker would bleed through onto your template, and then you might not be able to reuse that. And what if you come up with a design that you really love and you want to make more of them? So preserve that little template and use the ink pen initially. And so I'm barely touching this to the cotton, just enough so that the ink transfers but doesn't bleed. And then I think I just want to color in this frame. You can put a little more pressure on that because you want more color to come into that. And you have a wider border. And then once you're happy with how that design looks, go ahead and let the ink dry. And then I would come in with my little coat of luster there. And to put on the luster, I just used a regular paintbrush, and I squeezed a bit of that in the center and then painted over the top of that with the Mod Podge. I exceeded the edges and I put a nice thick coat on that. So then what happened was it fused through to the underside there, but not all the way through, just to the top layer of that. And so it created a double layer patch or label for me that was perfect, which is why I used the 2 layers. Cut out that label, and then I could just stitch this right on to my bag. If you've ever made fabric marker labels or custom product labels yourself, I'd love to hear in the comments what your techniques were. Again, I'm just totally experimenting here. I had a lot of fun playing with my options. Super grateful for the folks at Arteza for sponsoring the video and sending me all these awesome colors to play with. I'm sure you're going to see them used in a future project, and I look forward to getting better at working with these awesome markers. I also wanted to show you that these markers have 2 tips. So they have a wide, broad tip there and then a more narrow, fine tip. So that's especially helpful when you're tracing these delicate designs like that. And I was working with the fine tip, whereas I just want to show you, like, if you, I'll get some different colors here out to play with. Like if you wanted to do like a awesome rainbow kind of design, it wouldn't take you very long to get that fabric saturated with color. And then I'll show you with this one what happens with the Mod Podge on this fabric. But that will give you a good idea about how much glue you need on that. And actually this one might be okay for me to try on that now and see what happens. So it's about the size of a dime, the amount of glue that I'm putting on there. And then we'll see if it smears. So far I think it's doing okay. So that was only like maybe 10 minutes, not even. And it's doing okay. It's not smearing at all. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it out and sew it onto my bag, and I will post a picture at the end of the video and let you know what that looked like. And that's the underside for you. So it's not wet on the underside because then it would be sticking to my mat. But if I separated that fabric, it's definitely wet on the underside of the first layer and sticking to that. I will be back next Tuesday with a brand new bag design for you. It's going to be a miniature duffel bag that doubles as a small purse. It's going to have a zip top closure and nice accents on the exterior. So I'm very excited about that. You can get a sneak peek at the early design process if you head on over to Sewspire.com and check out Behind the Scenes with Andrea. The creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. You all have an awesome week. Thank you so much.